Hey, big hello, and how you doing from the Do Not Disturb Football Podcast? If you notice, Nimmer is in a new location. Nimmer, why don't you tell us about what's going on your end?
Yeah, so I am actually in the Bay Area. So shout out to the Bay Area in my parents' house. Um, so this was my brother's old room, and he just started just adding stuff to the walls and whatnot since he got his own room in middle school, and he just hasn't took them down. So it's crazy, but yeah. So I brought my whole setup, and I'm gonna be here for the rest of the year. So um, this is going to be my new home for the next month and a half.
Nice. It definitely looks a lot more,
Busy.
what's the word? Busy. Yeah,
Yeah,
busy for sure.
it's crazy. It sucks because I'm a Steeler fan and all this Raven crap on the wall. I mean, I don't know what to do.
Oh, I can't even see it, but
Yeah.
I believe you. But um, Darian is out today. He has some things going on, so he'll be out today. Hopefully, we have him back tomorrow. Um, how are you doing today, Nim?
I'm doing good. It's nice and cool in the Bay Area. The leaves are changed. This is the first time where I saw like orange leaves, kind of like our background. So, it's nice just seeing family and stuff like that. So, I haven't seen them for like 6 months. So, for me, it's a lot. That's a long time. So it was nice just to see family and be around family. And we have a whole household now. So, because my brother goes to UNR, and I'm obviously in Arizona. So my mom is like she's like an empty nester, um, kind of, but yeah. So she's happy to have the whole family back and stuff. So it's fun.
How how long is that drive? Like 10 hours from Phoenix?
So it was 13 hours actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I left at 6 o'clock in the morning before the sun came up, and then I got here at 6 o'clock at night when the sun went down. But the thing was is that California is on Pacific time and now Arizona is on Mountain time. So I
Mm.
gained an hour, which was nice. So it was really a 12-hour drive time wise, but I was in the car for 13 hours.
Mm.
Yeah.
When did you get there?
Sunday. So I was able to
Sunday.
like watch football while I was driving and stuff like that. So it was nice.
Okay.
Not watch, but it was more like listen to.
Yeah, listen to. We
Listen
definitely do
to.
not suggest anyone
No.
watch football and drive.
I was watching with my ears. That's what I was. That's what I was doing.
That is nice. Sometimes, I mean, I don't get to do that often, like listen to a football game like live,
Hmm.
but it's kind of a nice instead of like listening to music or something for a long drive. It's kind of nice to listen to a game or something.
Definitely, definitely. Like the first like 4 hours, it kind of sucked because like I was just listening to music, um, just doing a couple things like watching YouTube or listening to YouTube videos on my phone and stuff, and then football happened, and the drive just felt like you know super quick. So speaking of driving, didn't you go to Niagara Falls?
We did not.
Oh, sorry, touchy. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Sammy woke up. She wasn't feeling good, and
Mm,
we were kind of worried about like all that time in the car and how that would kind of be on her. So
okay.
we didn't end up going. But we her friend Kelly was here, and we went all over Pittsburgh. We went to the zoo for their they have like a Christmas light show that they do. So we went there at night on Saturday night, I think. We went to this really cool so it was a church and now it's a um like a bar, but it had what's the word, like a distillery where they have the
Oh yeah,
I
like
can't think of
a
what that's called.
like a beer garden, like the kegs type of thing, or what?
Yeah, like the big um I can't even think of what it's called.
Cyclone or whatever. Isn't that what it's called? Where they
It's
like
not a
process the
it's
beer.
not yeah, it's not a distillery. It's I don't know. They call it the church brew house or something like that. So it was like a Catholic church back in the day. and
That's
you
kind of funny.
and you walk in and you see like where like the whole setup would be for like the priests and all that. That's where those big tanks of beer are, and there's a bar to the left and a couple tables everywhere, and like it's pretty cool. It was a pretty cool little spot,
That is cool.
and I had a nice little flight of beer, and um, there was one that tasted terrible, but the other three were pretty good.
Nice. That's good. That's cool that you get to explore. Like that's the best thing about having guests is like you usually go explore more than than you explore when you're actually living there. So
Yeah, definitely.
it's cool.
Yeah. And they also have like a Christmas, they have a couple, but we went to one. They have Christmas markets going on
Hmm.
in downtown Pittsburgh. They say that Pittsburgh is the number 2 place in the country to celebrate Christmas.
Wow.
So it's a very Christmas feel around downtown and around all of Pittsburgh, really. There's wreaths on like every single light post you see, and like red ribbons everywhere, green and red
Nice.
lights everywhere. It's pretty cool.
Where's number one? New York, I'm assuming.
I'm assuming I didn't look it up. I read that Pittsburgh's number 2.
That's crazy. That's cool. See,
I'm
Pittsburgh's
I'm
such a cool place.
I'm assuming New York is number 1.
Yeah, it has to be. But, yeah. Sorry,
But
the background's like gonna be kind of crazy. You know how I feel like yeah, dogs just give me that eye.
He's like, why aren't you petting me?
I know. I feel like Kai said it. You know those streamers that have like show like pretty much like the whole background. You can see like their bed.
Yeah,
That's what I feel like.
it's definitely
Like,
a whole different look.
Oh man.
But some really big games that came up over this past weekend. Let's get into the injury report first. We have Browns wide receiver Cedric Tillman. He is questionable with a concussion. Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson. He's also questionable with a concussion. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. He's questionable with a back injury. Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown is questionable with a knee injury. He did not practice yesterday. David Montgomery as well. He did not practice yesterday. He is questionable with a shoulder injury. Packers wide receiver Romeo Doubs is questionable with a concussion. Colts wide receiver Josh Downs is questionable with a shoulder injury. Jaguars running back Tank Bigsby is questionable with an ankle injury. Chiefs backup kicker Schrader showed up on the injury report today with a hamstring injury. So that is their second kicker. Harrison Butker was hurt, and Schrader came in to play for him, and now the backup's hurt. So that'll be a very interesting thing to watch going forward. Who's going to be kicking for the Chiefs if Schrader can line back up, or Harrison Butker can come back, or if they go to a third kicker. That'll be a very interesting story heading into the playoffs. Both running backs for the Raiders, Zamir White and Madison, are questionable again this week. Gardner Minshew is out with a is out with a shoulder injury. They're calling it a collarbone. I'm not sure if it's broken. I'm assuming he's had X-rays done and they're waiting on those results. But it did not look good. I watched that entire Bronco Raider game. So Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins is questionable with a knee injury. Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill is questionable in showing up on the injury report, probably for the rest of the season with that wrist injury that he's been dealing with. Some are speculating he's probably going to be getting surgery after the season. Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito, he is questionable with a forearm injury. Eagles wide receiver Devontae Smith is questionable with a hamstring injury. Niners quarterback Brock Purdy is questionable, but I've heard that all plans are for him to play in Week 13. And then Washington, their running back Austin Eckler is questionable with a concussion, and Brian Robinson is questionable with a ankle injury. So a lot of injuries going on. It seems like there's quite a few different injuries out there, a lot of concussions, a lot of ankles, a lot of different things going on at this point in the season. But a lot of games that happened this weekend, a lot of really big matchups. It started on Thursday with the Steelers losing to the Browns. That was a trap game, just like everyone was kind of labeling it. That's exactly how it played out for the Steelers. The Vikings beat the Bears in an overtime thriller. Texans lose to the Titans in a very big upset. Seahawks, my surprising team of the year, beat the Cardinals and are now leading the NFC West. 49ers fall to 5-6 after losing to the Packers. The Rams got blown out by the Eagles, and the Ravens beat the Chargers pretty heavily. I guess it ended up being 30-23, but it wasn't really very close after halftime. I know you didn't get to actually watch a ton of the games, but were your ears to the ground with any of them?
Yeah. I think the biggest story of the game was probably the Commanders and Giants. The Commanders and Cowboys game. That was insane. There was a lot of upsets, which kind of was not surprising, but I feel like at this time of the year, especially with teams making playoff pushes and stuff like that, it was very surprising to see. Because these teams that are fighting for divisional championships and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden they're like the Texans lose to the Titans. That's huge when it comes to the standings. The Steelers losing to the Browns, like that was just so devastating. So it was a very unique Sunday, I should say.
For sure. It was a lot of upsets, like you said. The Texans seem to be in a bit of trouble with protecting C.J. Stroud, and C.J. Stroud's been turning the ball over a lot. That is interesting to watch going forward. They have somewhat of a competitive division with the Colts and the Titans behind them. So,
yeah, and then even like the Chiefs, people were like, "Oh, they're gonna blow them out," blah blah blah, and they won by 3 points. Typical Chiefs fashion and stuff like that. So I don't know if this is like a fluke week, like what people were more looking at Thanksgiving, but this is one of the normal weeks, one of the last normal weeks of the NFL season, because next week we have Thanksgiving, so that's 6 teams that are having a short week, and then we have Christmas 3 weeks later. So, and that, I know the Steelers are playing 3 games in 10 days, so it's it's crazy.
Yeah. And what's even crazier is our fantasy league at the moment.
Talk about upsets. That's insane.
Yeah. We had the last ranked team beat me this week.
After we gave him all an F, he's like, you know what? Yeah, F this, I'm going to beat you.
I announced that I was going to be a dad, and then Austin became my daddy in the same week. So he put 154 points on me. He's never reached 154. It just happened to be against me this week, and my team did not show up at all. We only scored 90 points. So it was an absolute blowout. I had no chance against Austin this week, and I guess that's karma.
Yeah, seriously. That was insane. It first started with what, Nick Chubb, and I think Jerry Jeudy
scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. And then his team just started popping off left and right.
He had Nick Chubb score 2 touchdowns. I think Jeudy got him 14 points. I can't remember, but Pollard got in there with a touchdown. He had a pretty decent game. Jackson Smith and Jigba had a really good game. Lamar Jackson, his quarterback, had a really, really good game. So there was nothing I could do. I couldn't have made any changes and I would have lost. But
I think this is the first time where he was in the top 5 highest scorers too. So shout out Austin.
He was the second highest scorer this week.
Yeah.
So his team might be a threat here. I think I'm going to be I might be the most interested in the losers bracket way more than I'm going to be interested in the championship.
Yeah, no, definitely, it's gonna be very interesting because it's Austin. Just for people, our viewers, Austin is 3-9. Quaz and Darian are tied for 4-8, and the loser has to do a beer mile and then wear a toilet seat for the whole weekend. Um, so that's the punishment for the worst record. So
There's something else, right? What's the other? There's another punishment, isn't there?
not for that one. And
Oh,
then
okay.
the person that loses in the playoffs, like at the end of the year when you're number 10, you have to sit in a bar for um, 12 hours, I think.
Hmm.
And then every like shot and beer or whatever, it's an hour off.
So that's the 10th ranked team.
At the end of the season, at the end of the fantasy season, like after playoffs.
So does that mean the lowest score of all the teams in the playoffs, or
So like at the end of the loser of the loser bracket has
okay,
to do that. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
pretty
So
much like the dead last team, basically.
exactly.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be
that's gonna be a
interesting.
really really interesting to see
Yeah.
who. And honestly, with the way our draft goes, like we have so much stuff that goes on once we get to whatever said destination. That's a pretty tough punishment because they're going to be missing out on a whole bunch of stuff for that first day, basically, unless they drink whatever it is and get out of there within 6 hours. But then they're going to show up and they're going to die. So
Yeah. Or I think it was open to close. It's not 12 hours. It's like open to close. And so they're
open and close.
yeah. So they're usually open. You know, I don't know. We haven't really fine tuned the details just yet,
Yeah.
but we want to see the punishment, and then we'll find who's gonna do the punishment, and then we'll fine tune the details. But I have to admit, with me in fantasy, I did a clean sweep where I have won in all 4 of my weeks. It's the first time this
Hmm.
season where I've done that, so
That's got to
it was
feel
nice.
good.
It felt really good, especially after this past week where the friggin' what did I say in the beginning of the last week when we were doing MVPs? I was like, all right, 2 weeks in a row, the top scorer was on the opposite team, and then what happens? Saquon ends up going off and going in 40 points, but ended up still pulling off a win. So that's what really felt good.
Definitely. Well, let's start in New York for the Giants. They played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost 30-0, absolutely shut out. They asked some players after the game what their thoughts were. Malik Neighbors said soft as fuck. Illuminor, the offensive lineman, he said, I don't think anyone was giving 100%. And Brian Burns, the defensive end, said after trailing 30-0 on their at home off their bye week, he said that's ass to the media. So three players absolutely, I mean, they don't sound very good with or very happy with the organization. Malik Neighbors had a lot to say about everything that was going on. They said they asked him why he was left unsure what happened in a disastrous first half and why he didn't get the ball. And he said, I don't know. Talk to Dayball about that. So he seemed very, very upset with everybody. All the players seemed very upset with the entire organization. Nimmer, what is your reaction to this?
I mean, I'm not really shocked. Like this is just a dumpster fire. He also said that like, it's not our quarterback, and that kind of just like that was the eyebrow raiser right there. Because then, if your best receiver is saying, "Well, it's not our quarterback," then you fucked up. So, um, yeah, it's sad, and I think who was this? It was Burns, Neighbors, and who was the third person that spoke? The offensive lineman.
Illuminor.
Illuminor. Was he on the team
Yeah.
last year, or is he new? Do you remember? Do you
I don't
know?
know. Jermaine
But
Illuminor. I'm not sure. No, it says veteran offensive tackle or offensive lineman. So
okay. So Michael Burns came from the Panthers, right? The Panthers.
mhm.
So this is his
Yeah.
first year on the Giants. Neighbors came from college, so this is his rookie year. So he hasn't been on the Giants, and they're they're upset. You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy to see that these players that have been here for not even a year are upset with the organization. That's not a good sign for Giants fans.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I said it last week. I think they're tanking. I
Mm-hmm.
really believe that after watching the 30-0 performance. I think they want that number one pick badly.
Yeah, no, definitely. Who do you think? Speaking of the Giants, where do you think Daniel Jones is going to go?
I don't really know. He's been saying that he wants to be on a contender. So I don't really know. I mean, I guess the Vikings make sense because Sam Darnold's been kind of shaky. And if he gets hurt, then it's Nick Mullins. And I'd rather have Daniel Jones than Nick Mullins. So that would be my guess.
Yeah, I like that, and I also like the Niners. I feel like the Niners can bring some packages for him. I like, Shanahan's offense and stuff like that. So I think the Niners will also be a good choice.
Yeah, it's interesting because right now he could sign with the Raiders and be the starter,
Yeah.
but
I,
he said he doesn't want to play for them.
yeah, didn't they offered it to him and everything, and he was like, "No, thank you."
Yeah,
It's crazy.
that is crazy. But we all hope that Daniel Jones gets somewhere, and hopefully it's a new beginning for him, and he can kind of turn around
Yeah.
his career. It's been not a lot of good
Yeah.
for sure. Maybe one good season. So the craziest game that happened this weekend, the Cowboys versus the Commanders. I wish Darian was here to talk about this. I wanted to get his reaction to this game. But this is pretty much how it went. It was maybe just over 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. There was a touchdown by Zach Ertz, and then they had a kick return from Turpin, the Dallas Cowboys returner. He had this play where he muffed the kickoff, picked the ball up, did this like walk up, and then did a spin, and everybody missed him, and he took it to the house. Terry McLaurin came back and scored a touchdown, and then the kicker for Washington, Siebert, who I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but it's either Siebert or Seibert, I don't know. He missed the extra point, and then the Cowboys got 34 points somehow. I didn't watch that part, but
They returned the onside kick.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. He like scooped and
That's
scored, and everybody was so mad at him because they're like, "You should have went down and wasted the clock." And I'm like, "Come on!" It was his first touchdown. He had like the game ball in his hand, and they're like cussing him out because he should have went down. I was like, "Come on!"
absolute heartbreaker for the Commanders. It was a weird game. I was not expecting the Cowboys to be into that game.
Yeah. No, I don't know. They must have just. I mean, it's not even. It was more the defense. Honestly, I feel like the defense really kept them in the game. The offense did not look good at all, but neither did the Commanders' offense. I mean, Terry McLaurin, besides that big catch, he had like 3 catches for like 20 yards or 30 yards or something like that. Like he wasn't involved at all. So they need to figure that offense out. The Commanders do, because they go from one of the most surprising team to the same old Commanders. So they need to figure that out.
Definitely. Hopefully, it's not one of those things. There's a track record out there about Cliff Kingsbury where he starts off really hot and his offense looks really good, and then they say after October every single year his offense kind of goes away and the team really starts to struggle. We saw that with his years in Arizona, and as of right now, that's kind of what it's looking like. Like, hopefully, that's not what's going on.
Dang. That's crazy. That wouldn't be shocked. I mean, they criticize him for having like a very basic offense that people it's really easy to read and all that type of stuff. And
I think he throws in some new things every year, but it's a very quick tempo offense. And I think once you kind of crack the code on that and disrupt things, then it's kind of like over. You're not really going to get away with much. And Cowboys had a lot of their starters back on defense. Micah Parsons has been playing for the past couple weeks. I think Deron Bland's back. Eric Kendricks is back. So they've had a lot of their starters come back. I think that caused some issues for Jaden Daniels.
yeah, that was definitely a defensive win. Because I mean, if you think about most of this touchdowns, they the Cowboys offense really only scored like one or two touchdowns in that. I'm trying to
Yeah,
pull up
special teams and defense. That kick return was huge.
yeah, talk about a like a momentum switch. That was insane. Trying to find the score. Should have been more prepared. Anyway, but yeah, so I think the offense needs to start carrying their own. I mean, same with the Steelers. Like it's very hypocritical for me to say, but the Steelers offense has not looked good. That's 2 weeks in a row where we did not look good, and we weren't able to close the deal.
Yeah.
So we got
Let's
one
go.
pass, two passes. Yeah, they scored 15 points, 14 points out of the 34 points. Their offense. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, that was a really crazy game. Hopefully, Washington can kind of clean it up here and start to win again because they're on a little bit of a skid right now. But that happens to a lot of teams in the NFL. Maybe they can get past this. Let's go to that team that you were talking about, the Steelers. They struggled on Thursday night against the Cleveland Browns. They are last in the AFC North. And it was an interesting game because it started out with cold weather and then it ended with an absolute it looked like a blizzard. I mean, it looked like there was so much snow coming down.
Even like you could see the quarterback, they zoomed in on the quarterback and they're going like this, like trying to see
Yeah.
the defense. Couldn't see the field goal, like the ball. Oh, it was crazy.
But Russ continues to struggle in the red zone. There's been probably 3 or 4 different games this year where Chris Boswell is really the only guy contributing any points on the team. And for Russ, it seems like that deep ball is working, that moon ball that he throws, but you can't throw that when you're 10 yards out from the end zone. So that is kind of been the Achilles heel for the Steelers so far. Where do they go forward from here?
They just need to just break it down. And like you said, it's just the moon ball. That's what's helping our offense. That's what people are like. They're doing exciting plays and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when we're in the playoffs and we're playing the Chiefs, when we're playing the Bills, when we're playing the Ravens again, when we're playing the Texans, and we're playing against C.J. Stroud, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, our defense can only do so much. It can't. Our offense needs to start producing. We are so that it's very worrisome. I was actually at my grandma's yesterday, and they asked if the Steelers are going to win, and I was like, the way that they're playing, absolutely not, because the offense cannot do anything. Defense wins championships, I agree, but the defense can only do so much besides score all the points. Like it's our offense needs to produce when you're playing good teams like the Chiefs, like the Bills. When you're in the red zone, when you have these opportunities that the defense has given you and you're in the red zone, you need to capitalize, not just walk away with 3 points. If you walk away with 3 points one time, that's fine. But the next time you're in the red zone, you better score. And we have not been scoring, and it's very, very worrisome. So
They are kind of in an interesting position if things continue this way and you have one quarterback that can be absolutely electric running the ball, but has struggles with throwing the ball, and you're using that guy as the red zone weapon, and then you have Russ who struggles in the red zone but can be kind of efficient anywhere outside the red zone. It's kind of interesting to see what they do going forward with this offseason. Who do you sign back?
Yeah, that's what I'm very worried about. I don't know, because like I don't even know who I want, to be honest.
I think some would argue and say don't bring anybody back in draft.
No, I don't like that. I don't like because then it's gonna be the whole Kenny Pickett situation again. Like I feel like this the smart thing to do would be sign Russ and draft a quarterback. And then I mean Ben sat behind Tommy Maddox, and then Tommy Maddox got hurt, and then Ben came in, and then did really well. It just proved like our team has proven if our quarterback does well, we win games. So it's like we just need a quarterback. That's just the missing piece. And I mean I don't know because that's what the Jets have said, and I mean look at them. But so I don't know.
I
I
mean,
mean yeah.
another crucial part of the game, Russ starts to scramble around, and Myles Garrett stripped the ball from him, and that was a turnover.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, I
And
know.
that's kind of Russ's MO. He makes those kind of turnovers in the exact moments. We've seen it multiple times. You saw the Browns do it, that strip fumble. The week before that, you saw that terrible interception he threw in the back of the end zone. He's been doing that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Giants, they won that game, but he's fumbled with 3 minutes to go in that game too.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm like. That's what I'm saying. I don't know who I even want to resign. Like I feel like Justin Fields is good for the future, but the way that he's been playing and the way that he's been throwing and stuff like that, like he needs to work on his arm. Maybe when he has the off season with a team with Arthur Smith and a coach and Tomlin and stuff like that, then it might help. But I don't know. I mean, you can't. I don't know. I really don't. It's very worrisome. It's very 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 worrisome.
It seems like to me when they put Fields in and Fields decides to throw, now he's like, well, Russ gets away with the deep ball. I'm going to throw the deep ball. And Russ throws a better deep ball. That's just as simple as that.
And I feel like with Justin Fields, I feel like his confidence is just shattered. And he's like, I have to be perfect. I have to do this. I have to complete this ball. I have to do this. I have to do that, which is very hard for a quarterback, because then they give him a design play. He makes a play. They're not going to keep him in there. They're going to take him out and put Russ in. So it's like, although I like having two decent quarterbacks, I just want one good quarterback. He doesn't even need to be great. I'm not asking for a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or anybody like that. But like, give me a Purdy. You know what I mean?
Bo Nix.
A Bo Nix. If we can draft a Bo Nix, talk about a dynasty. Or the way that our defense is playing, I don't know. The thing that pissed me off about that game though is fucking Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett pissed me off because it's like he's like.
Is that your rage cage today?
No, it's not.
Oh, I thought that was gonna be it.
No, it should be though. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay.
My rage cage was gonna be Kendrick and the Lil Wayne thing, but yeah, it'll be Myles Garrett. Congratulations, you got promoted, Myles.
All right, well, let's go to the Chiefs win in that close game. We kind of talked about this a little bit, but they ended up winning 30-27 off a 31-yard field goal from Spencer Schrader, who's now on the injury report. Mahomes said, you want to be a little calmer in the fourth quarter. I've always said it can be a good thing as you get in the playoffs and later in the season, just knowing that you've been in those moments before and knowing how to kind of attack it. It's weird that like every single game the Chiefs are in, it's a close game. It doesn't matter what team it is. The Panthers, I mean, they're one of the worst teams. I mean, I will say they look a lot better than they have earlier in the season, but you expect the Chiefs to win by at least 10 points in this game.
I told
So
you.
my question to you, Nim, do you think the Chiefs are struggling? Are they actually struggling? Or is this kind of what we've been talking about? Is this smooth sailing before the playoffs and then they'll open up the playbook?
I mean, so I was talking to my brother, and he was like, "This is what their mo. We talked about it last year. Oh, the Chiefs are not looking like they did last year without Tyreek, all this other type of stuff, blah 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 blah, and then they end up winning the Super Bowl. So my hot take. So, but I don't think that they look good. Like, it's one thing if they can turn it around and stuff like that, but I don't know. The way that they've been playing, and it's not looking good.
Yeah. It's shape if they do get to the Super Bowl, it's shaping up to be a very, very interesting matchup with whoever it is they're gonna play.
Yeah, that's true. Because either way, whether it be the Eagles or the Lions, those are both dynamic offenses. So
Definitely. I feel like they would beat the Eagles, but the Lions, I think, have a chance
I don't know.
against them.
You think they can beat the Eagles with Saquon adding the Saquon edition?
Yeah, I mean the Eagles have. I think Saquon's been carrying that offense.
I mean,
I think without Saquon, I think they'd be in shambles, kind of like they were last year. I mean, they started 10-1, but they ended the season pretty flat, and their offense looked not very good. Saquon has been a great add. He's been their savior. I think if you slow down Saquon, you can slow down that offense.
I can see that.
But for the Chiefs, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I watched them last year kind of do the same thing. You know, they've only lost one game so far, so it's kind of hard to say that they're struggling. I think in the regular season, they run like a simpler offense where there's simpler routes and combinations that they throw at teams, and then they get to the playoffs and it's a much different offense. There's a lot more motioning going on. There's a lot more choice routes by Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce really has been up and down this fantasy season. He's the tight end number 4, but this past weekend he wasn't amazing. And there's
He's
been a
tight
couple
end
of games.
number 4.
He is tight end number 4 on the year.
That's shocking.
But like I said, none of these tight ends are really doing.
Yeah.
Besides Brock Bowers, the only guy that's really doing anything is Brock Bowers.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's very true.
It'll be interesting to see. We're all rooting for you, Detroit.
Yeah, seriously. Let it just be the Bills and the Bills and the Lions. Let America have the Super
That'd be
Bowl they
awesome.
want.
That would be a fun Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's like I remember that year where the Rams and the Bengals met in the Super Bowl, and people complained about it, and I was like, it was finally the first time we had like parity in the league. Like,
Yeah.
we want Super Bowls like that. We don't want the Chiefs in it every single year.
Yeah, but if you look at the history of the NFL, and I was looking about this earlier, there's always that dynasty that carries the team for 3-4 years, or even 10 years. Like in the 80s, it was or the 70s it was the Steelers, the 80s it was the Cowboys, the 90s it was the Niners, the 2000s and 2010s it was the Patriots. Like it just that's how the NFL works. Now we're just in the Chiefs decade, and Travis Kelce's going to retire, and then all of a sudden they're going to not be as good as they used to be. I don't know. It's just the way the world works.
Yep. Well, I want it to end fast. But let's get into the Hot Take Tuesday. Nimmer, why don't you start with your hot take?
All right, we were talking about the Chiefs, and Drew said that they play a different offense in the playoffs, but I don't. I don't want to say I don't agree, but I don't think it's really going to work. I think that the way that the Chiefs are playing and the way that the AFC is matching up, might I say they lose first round? If you
Mm,
look at who they're going to be playing, they're going to be playing if they don't get the number one seed. If they do get the number one seed, then they're going to be playing the winner of either the Steelers, who have a great defense, and they really haven't played anybody that has had a really good defense. Besides, I mean, the Broncos, and they barely beat the Broncos. You know, it's like with all these small little wins, it's very hard for me to believe that they're going to do really well in the playoffs. So I think that the Chiefs are going to lose first round, and it's going to be like the biggest upset of the playoffs,
probably second round if
or
they get
second
the bye.
round if they get the bye. But I mean, yeah, that's true. Because first round, so then they would probably be playing the Bills. No, not the Bills. They'd probably be playing what, the Texans and the Chargers, the winner of that game, or the Steelers and the Ravens. I feel like the Steelers or the Ravens can beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
there's
can't
not
see the Ravens beating them.
really. Yeah, I don't know the way that they played against the Chargers though. The Chargers are a really good team.
Yeah,
The Chargers are the only team I think in the playoff picture right now that I can't see beating the Chiefs.
Hmm.
That's literally the only team that I don't think that can beat the Chiefs. But other than that, I feel like every other team in the AFC can have an ability to beat the Chiefs. So
and for my hot take, man, we're getting to the point where I'm just like thinking of all these different things to say for a hot take. So this one's a little long winded, but this one is around Shador Sanders. I told you earlier this year that I think Shador Sanders is going to get drafted by the Giants. I think the betting odds are starting to lean that way that the Giants will pick Shador. And if that's what happens, you heard it here first. But um, there's still a chance it could be anybody else. It could be Jacksonville that drafts Shador. It could be
that would be wild.
that would be wild. It could be Tennessee. It could be some of these other teams, but
Raiders.
Raiders, yeah, those are kind of the four teams: the Raiders, the Giants, the Jaguars, and I mean Titans. After winning this past week, they might have just got out of contention to do that. But um, so here's my hot take. There's been a lot of chatter about, Dion has said, I don't want Shador playing in the cold. That's number one. Um, if he's not playing in the cold, you look at all these teams that are bad. Besides the Jaguars, and the Jaguars, I mean, if I had to live in that weather all the time, I wouldn't love it. But not a lot of teams are out there that are bad that have really good weather. The Rams are good. The Chargers are good. Miami's good. Like there's Jacksonville's the only one that has decent weather, and that's humid all the time. But I guess that's better than cold all the time. And number two, Dion has said he will not play for a dysfunctional organization. So those are two things that are the Giants right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say the Giants go and draft Shador, and Shador pulls an Eli Manning and says, I'm not playing for you guys. And I think it's going to tweak the world a little differently now. I think when Eli did it, when John Elway did it, it was kind of glazed over. It wasn't really a thing. But now I think with this new generation of college kids, if someone in the first pick says that, that's going to change the way the draft is forever. I really think that is something that could happen unless the NFL steps in and punishes the rookies from doing that, say like giving them like really cheap contracts if they do that. I don't really know what you would do. But I think that'll change the way these highly drafted quarterbacks will operate if Shador comes out and says that this year after he's drafted, I don't want to play for said team.
Wow.
And I think if he does say that, he's gonna probably be in the position where he's gonna have to pick who he gets to play for. I think he'll go to the Raiders.
So then, if he gets to pick, what would happen? Like, I don't if the Giants, because I'm I don't really know, pretty ignorant when it comes to the draft process. So the Giants pick him, right? And he's like, I don't want to play for you. So he's just
Right.
not gonna just doesn't sign the contract, and then what happens?
So I mean, what happened with Eli, the perfect example with Eli Manning, he got drafted by the Chargers and they were a mess. And he said, I'm not playing for the Chargers. So they went to a bunch of teams and scouted to see who wanted Eli. And I think they went to Eli and they said, hey, we've got this, and the Giants. And he said, I'll go to the Giants. And they traded him.
So then why would they go to Eli? Like, so they traded him. So he doesn't really have a choice. Like, can't he just get traded to the Titans, right?
You
And
could do
then,
that.
but then
You
what?
could
He
just
says,
trade
I
him.
don't want to play for the Titans, and then it's the Titans mess, and
Then
then he just
that looks
bounces
really,
back.
really bad. I
Yeah.
think if you go to a second team and you're like, I don't want to play for you either, that would be really, really bad.
But I'm saying, like, it's just for me, why would an organization care what he would want? Like, for me,
Yeah.
I would give me the best offer. What do you think? What would you give me for Shador? And then best offer, yep, here you go, take Shador. And then Shador's like, all right, like I feel like he shouldn't have a say. Like you
No, I
got
agree.
drafted in the NFL. And
I
you don't want
agree.
to play for the team, that should be your punishment. Is that you don't get to pick where you're going because that's the NFL is a business. So that's what kind of confused me.
We were close to seeing that last year, I think, with Caleb Williams and the Bears, because there were rumors that he didn't want to play for the Bears, and he ended up not really saying anything. But there were still whispers about it, even when he was drafted to the Bears. And I think Shador might be the guy that says, I'm not playing for that team.
I feel like the difference between Caleb and Shador is that Shador is a sander. His dad is arguably the best defensive player, second best or best cornerback that has ever played the game of football. Eli Manning had Peyton and Archie Manning. Like it's very hard for me to believe that like Caleb Williams, this guy that paints his fingernails, would want to do that. But like you said, this is a new generation, and it's gonna be big if
Yeah.
he does that.
I think the first quarterback to do it in this era, I think it's going to be a big eyebrow raiser. It's going to be a lot of reactions. It'll make the media go crazy.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be the main topic for the off season. Like
Oh yeah,
how in off season they have nothing to talk about. This is exactly
yeah.
what they're gonna talk about.
But kind of a long-winded hot take. Hopefully, I have some more concrete ones next week.
I feel like that can happen though. I mean, with all the evidence, not evidence, but like with Prime saying all that, like I can definitely see that happening.
Yeah, yeah. I think he wants to play for the Raiders.
Which is so interesting because I mean they're also a dysfunctional franchise and they have no
Right.
weapons and they don't have like I understand like if it's like the Jets where you have a good team around you and then you're like literally the missing piece. But the Raiders have nobody. They have Brock Bowers. They don't really
Yeah.
have a receiving core. They don't really have a running game. They have Max Crosby on the defense, but that's it. Like who else? Who else are you? Like why go to the Raiders? I don't know. It's weird.
Jets would be probably a really good option for him, but it's also cold.
Yeah.
So That's to me where I'm like, you can't have all these stipulations. You're going to play in the cold at
Yeah,
some point.
yeah,
Even if you play for a team that doesn't play in the cold, you're going to go to an away game in New York and play in New York. So like, what's the difference?
yeah. Yeah, that's stupid.
I think Dion's kind of hurt his draft stock by saying all that, to be honest.
Yeah, but either way, he's still gonna get first round. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
He's still going to be he's still going to be a top 3 pick.
Yeah, exactly. Which is gonna be
Yeah.
crazy. 2 players from the same school, top 3.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting for sure. That's why I wonder if Jacksonville's the first pick, I wonder if they take Travis Hunter, because I feel like I could see them doing that.
I guess. Yeah, I could see them do that too. Because they need that help.
Yeah.
They need some type of help. I can't see them picking a quarterback. You know,
I don't think so
there's
either.
no way. They just paid um, Trevor
Trevor.
Lawrence. There's absolutely
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah, I think that would be a huge move that would create a lot of ripples around Jacksonville.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean,
And I
you
feel
know,
like a lot of teams would want Trevor Lawrence, to be honest.
no, 100%. But
Even
I
though
mean,
like he hasn't done a whole lot, but
yeah, but still, he's still. I don't know. But like, you never know because we also said the same thing about
Lamar.
no about this past draft with the Falcons drafting Penix.
Oh,
You
Penix,
know,
yeah.
we're like you literally just paid him, but it's a little different. I know the situation because you know Cousins is a little older, but still, you
Yeah.
never know.
And let's get into the Rage Cage. So this is a topic we give you every week where we get a little heated about something that we watched or observed this past weekend. Nimmer, why don't you start?
All right, so was going to be a message to Kendrick Lamar because Kendrick Lamar, you don't want this smoke. But anyway, it's not going to be that. It's going to be more towards Myles Garrett because Myles Garrett thinks that he's the best defensive player in the league right now, and he definitely is. But he's a very good player, but not the best player. Myles Garrett, what have you done this season? Let me pull up your stats because you haven't done shit this season. Your team is ass. You are ass this season. It's just not good. Should have been more prepared. I'm sorry, but let me see, bro. But and then the fact that you came out and said the defensive player comes through me, bro. You literally just won one, and all of a sudden you're the king of defensive players. Like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Go back to your fucking basketball court, your freakish athleticism and stuff like that. Like, you have no room to talk. Your team is so bad. Defense. Let's see. How many sacks does he have? He has 10 sacks. So he has 10 sacks this season. Let's go to TJ Watt. So the fact that you say that, oh, no scheme is good for me, no scheme is good for me, bro. We did a one-on-one with you. Your team literally double teamed TJ Watt the whole entire game, or chipped him and did all this other type of stuff. Then in the second quarter, I mean in the second half, when we actually double teamed you and chipped you and stuff, you didn't do shit. So shut the fuck up, motherfucker. TJ Watt has 13 sacks. So suck on that. Okay? You shouldn't have even won last year. TJ Watt did a way better job than you did. So go back to Cleveland where your team's ass, your franchise's ass, everything around you is just so bad, and shut the fuck up. my rage
I'm
cage.
I'm looking at the sack numbers. This is via ESPN. TJ is at 13 with 7.5 sacks,
Oh fuck! I don't know what the fuck I was
and
looking at then.
Miles Garrett is at 3 with 10 sacks.
13?
Yeah, TJ's at 13, tied for 13 in the league.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough. But still, you're still ass. I don't care. Your team's ass. But I wonder what I see. Stats can only do one thing because I wonder how many double teams T.J. Watt and how many chips T.J. Watt has fought through and Miles Garrett hasn't because he's so bad. The defenses don't give a fuck about him
Why don't they move TJ around?
because he doesn't. He's came out and said that he really liked. They started trying to do that, but it's like writing left-handed. That's what he said. And
He
the
just
reason,
likes the left side.
yeah, he likes the left side, and yeah, I mean, they should, but and also I have a question: why is he considered an outside linebacker? Why isn't he considered an edge?
I don't know. He's really not a linebacker.
Yeah, at all. It just doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. But yeah, I don't know. Just the fact that he came out and was like the defensive player needs to come through me. It's like, all right, I understand if you're like Lamar Jackson, where you've done back-to-back, MVPs and stuff like that. But how many? He's only won one, right?
Yeah, he won the one last year.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, the defensive player of the year has to go through you because he's won one. What?
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense.
I thought that was crazy to say.
Shut the fuck up, ho. Like, you know what I mean? Like, shut the fuck up. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't understand why he's like coming at TJ like that. TJ tweeted one thing like it's nothing I'm not used to in response to like something. That was all he said. He didn't say like Miles Garrett, you suck. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
And Miles Garrett's taking this like
up the butt.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
So my rage cage, I went kind of back and forth on where I should go with this one. It could be the Colorado Buffaloes losing to Kansas. That could be where I go. But I'm gonna just bring it back to my man Aaron Rodgers. So this guy, there was reports over the weekend that a lot of things just came out about the Jets that I didn't really see coming. But apparently after week 4 against the Broncos, when the Jets put up 10 points or whatever it was, I don't even remember how many points they scored. It wasn't very many points. They ended up losing that game. Rodgers looked really bad. There was a rumor that Woody Johnson, the owner, had inquired with the coaching staff about benching Aaron Rodgers. And then there's this rumor that Aaron Rodgers has said to people around him that he plans on playing in 2025, just not for the Jets. So Aaron Rodgers comes on his daily show on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday. And here's his response. He says, "That was never said. I've never said that." Okay, great. Great, Raj. Great. And he said, "I don't even know if I'm going to play next year." And that's where it's like, here we go again. Here we go again. You're going to do exactly what you did to the Packers. You're going to do exactly what you did to the Packers to the Jets. And for Jets fans, like, you got to feel like absolute idiots. You got to feel like fools for wanting this guy as your quarterback. He's turning around and doing the same thing he did to the last organization he was with to you, the guy you begged to have in New York. He's doing the same thing. He's going to keep you on that teeter-totter all year long. Every single year that he plays for New York, he's going to say, well, I don't know if I'm playing next year. And in the summer, he's going to say, I still don't know. I still don't know. I'm not there yet. I can't make the commitment yet. And you know what? I won't show up to the voluntary workouts just because I still haven't decided. Raj, you're not good enough to make these kind of decisions anymore. If I was the Jets, I would cut him. I would cut him midseason. I would say, have this. See you later.
Oh my God.
I mean, what are you keeping him around for anymore? You guys are 3-8. You've brought every single person he wants in, and you're 3-8. You've lost to so many teams. You've lost to bad teams. You've gotten blown out by the Colts and the Cardinals. Why would you want him anymore? And then for him to say, well, I don't know if I'm going to play next year. It's like, who cares if you do or not? We suck with you.
Yeah.
Guy acts like he's so good. And it's like, no, this isn't 2012 anymore, Raj. You got half an Achilles to your name. Like, stop.
Half an Achilles.
And apparently there was some other things where after one of the games where he was limping around, I think that was like the second game of the season, the Jets came to him and said, hey, let's get some medical scans done for your legs because it looks like you're limping and you could be hurt. And he refused that. He refused to get those scans. What a pompous prick. Like, what? And he's doing that because he knows if it comes up positive that he's got a hairline fracture or something going on, that they're going to bench him. And then that's a huge ego thing for him that he's got to deal with. But even if he's healthy, he's still at the risk of getting benched because he sucks. I can't believe he's doing this to the Jets now. And for the Jets fans that begged for him to be there, this is what you get with him. You got a guy that's going to run for office here in 2 years. You got a guy that's going to tiptoe back and forth on whether he's going to play the very next year. You had a guy that shows up on Monday happy and a guy that leaves your locker room Sunday night as a crabby asshole. I can't believe this. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. He's a liar. He sucks. He's washed up. He needs to retire. Jets, I know half of your fans agree with me on that.
I agree. He should retire, 100%. I think that he's like, all right, But it's just hard for him because he can't leave a 3-2 team, or whatever,
Yeah.
3-7 team.
Yeah.
But I think he's still going to come back one more year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he'll play for the Jets next year, and I think they'll be
100%.
average at best.
Maybe.
So you get to leave. You get to leave with the last 2 years with 11 wins.
Jeez.
That's your legacy. You got one Super Bowl, and then the last 3 years of your career, you got cut by a team. Not cut, but didn't get brought back by a team. You go to the next team. You're 3-8. Whatever your record's going to be at the end of the year, it's going to be really bad. And then next year, I think your average is at best 7 or 8 wins.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do well that next year.
I mean, I don't know. Who do you bring in? You have everybody. You have Sauce Gardner. You have Reddick. You have Breece Hall. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Devontae. You have new guys on the offensive line. Who else do you bring in?
A defensive coordinator. The fact that they fired Saleh was the biggest mistake of that franchise.
That was stupid.
So stupid. And now their defense can't hold anybody.
Yeah. Well, let's go to break. We'll be back with the second half of our show, the fantasy football portion. Hello and welcome back to the Do Not Disturb Football Podcast, where football is forever. That is Nim in the. You wearing pink? I can't tell.
It's like
Pink.
purple, pink. The lighting
And you got a new camera too, or is that just the camera on the computer?
Yeah, so this is my work camera. I still have my
Oh.
PC hooked up on my personal, so hopefully either next episode or next week we'll have everything situated and we'll be back to normal.
Yeah. I appreciate your efforts with like the move going on and everything. That's a lot.
Yeah, wouldn't miss it. It's for the fans. My brother was like, "Does Drew hate Aaron Rodgers?"
Oh yeah.
Started laughing.
Oh yeah, I do. I can't stand that guy.
Yeah, it was funny.
I have said everything I need to say about Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
on this show. We've had 3 or 4 different rage cages now where I've talked about Aaron Rodgers. He comes up
True.
quite a bit during the rage cage because he's such a diva, and anyone that like wants to defend him, I'm like, what are you defending now? Like, the guy refuses scans. The guy lied about his immunization a couple of years ago. He says I don't answer phone calls unless you FaceTime me. Like, what? Like, this guy's a jerk. He's a jerk. What adult says that? I don't answer calls unless you FaceTime me. Like, imagine me saying that to my boss. I'm like, yeah, like, you have to FaceTime me or else, like, I'm not going to answer you. They'd be like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah. It's like, what if I have a Samsung? Like, I'm not getting your call.
Exactly. So stupid.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes on that Pat McAfee show every Tuesday, and he thinks he sounds so smart. And that's my one like thing with the McAfee show where I'm like, why does this guy have to come on every week? Like,
But I mean, they put him.
Who actually likes listening to him?
I like it. What's funny is that like my mom said this, and she was like, I love when he comes on. It like when he comes on, he makes me an Aaron Rodgers fan. And then later on in the week, I see him in interviews and see him on Sunday, and then I hate the guy. And then Tuesday, he comes on the Pat McAfee show, and I like him. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, see him in the interviews and see him on the field, and I just can't stand the guy. Like, it's just like, it's just funny.
Yeah, it's just a constant cycle of cleanup work by him on Tuesday. Which,
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's just like, all right, well, like, we just need to execute better. It's not over. We still have a 2% chance of making the playoffs. We just gotta believe. It's just like, bro, what? That's funny.
Yeah, man. Like, I could say more about Aaron Rodgers. I can go on and on.
You can. It's so funny.
He doesn't get along with his family. He's been divorced. No one likes him. He can't find a wife. Like, I can keep going on and on. He's a dickhead.
Man. Anyway,
but let's get into the waiver wire for week 13. There's probably not a ton of guys out there where we're at in the season, but I do think there's just a couple guys worth looking at, worth picking up. Maybe some of these guys are going to be really big pickups here to end the season. So, Nimmer, who do you got?
So I like Abdullah. We said that we told you guys to pick him up last week, and he popped off. He got 17 touchdowns. This is his second week in a row of getting 17 points. This is the second week in a row getting a touchdown. You can definitely tell he's a primary back. It is going to be interesting when Zamir White and Madison come back from injury, but I think that he's going to be that star running back that's going to take over that backfield. I also like, with Dobbins' injury, I like Gus Edwards. I think that would be a good pickup. So right now it doesn't show that Dobbins is hurt. Like, he shows that he's still gonna play, but I would just pick him up just to kind of keep in the back pocket. and just in case he doesn't play, or if he's on a limited play count because of his injury. I also like kind of Blake Corum to kind of be a handicap, just because Kyron Williams, he fumbled. I think this is the second straight game that he has a fumble in. They aren't really giving him the ball, so I don't know if that's because they like the passing game more, or they just don't trust him. So I like Blake Corum as well. As for receivers, I like Noah Brown. Noah Brown actually got a lot of balls in that game against the Cowboys, as well as I said this last week. Alec Pierce. I think that he um, did. Oh no, he didn't really do well last week, but I think that he will do. Like, he's a good wide receiver if you really, really, really need a good wide receiver.
And
Um,
Josh Downs is hurt too, so
exactly. So, but other than that, I really don't have anybody else.
yeah. So for quarterbacks, I would say Caleb Williams. I know that was kind of a you know rare sighting this past weekend, him getting like 27 points. But I think if you're desperate for a quarterback right now, I would say either him or Tua. I've been saying go get Tua for a while now. But Caleb Williams, I think with that past performance, I think he's worth picking up. Running backs, Nimmer kind of named all of them. The one he didn't say McNichols from the Commanders. If Eckler, who went out with a concussion, was actually knocked out in the game, hopefully he'll be better. He left the game. I'm assuming he won't be back next week. And Brian Robinson Jr. got hurt very early in that game. I think that's still up in the air on whether he's going to play or not. So I would pick up McNichols. He could be big. He's scored a couple touchdowns for them already this year. And Singletary, Devin Singletary from the Giants. I said last week I was concerned a little bit about Tyrone Tracy because he fumbled 3 weeks ago against the Panthers. And then this last game against the Buccaneers, he fumbled again. So I would pick up Singletary just in case there's a chance that they start losing confidence in Tracy and his ability to hold on to the football and go to Tracy again. Wide receiver, one that really stuck out to me, Devon Vele from the Broncos. He is the wide receiver too. He got 9 targets, 6 receptions, 80 yards. And it seems like Cortland Sutton is like the deep shot guy, and then Vele is a guy they're trying to get to underneath. Sean Payton, after the game, said that they want to get him the ball more. In the past 2 games, he has 14 targets. So pretty good for a rookie.
I also like Demario Douglas. Yes, he's not
From the
going to give you a
Patriots,
lot of points, but I feel like he's very consistent.
Yeah, I like him too. I think I've said he's one of the more dynamic guys on that team.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into the fantasy MVP reviews. So the top scorer, Saquon Barkley. Let's not talk too much about him because we're going to talk about him a little bit here. Some of the other highest scorers, I think Jahmyr Gibbs was in there. Let me take a look. Oh, Gibbs wasn't in there. So you had Barkley, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Addison, Cortland Sutton, and Mahomes. 2 quarterbacks in the top scores. Who stuck out to you, Nim?
I think Cortland Sutton. Like, he's kind of been mediocre. Like, his play, like, he's been 15 to 20 range, but with two targets, 2 touchdowns, 97 yards, 10 targets. That's huge. 10 targets. He's only gone over that 3 times throughout this whole entire year. So, and I really do like the Broncos offense. Bo Nix, I'm definitely on the Nix train. And Cortland Sutton is, I'm pretty sure in the beginning of the year I told you guys it's going to be a big sleeper too. Him and Dowdle. So I thought he's a very good, like, that was the most surprising because you hear Courtland Sutton, you're like, oh, he's a average kind of wide receiver, but the fact that he scored um, the top person or the top score, one of the top scorers, really
Hmm.
left a mark.
Yeah, he's really turned on. Like the second half of the season, he looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we've never traded him. I hope we hold on to him because I really like him. Uh, Jordan Addison was a guy that stuck out to me. 30 points. He was really like the main weapon for the Vikings against the Bears. He had 9 targets, 8 receptions, 162 yards, and a touchdown. That's a lot. That is by far the most yardage he's had in one single game this year. I am interested to see if he's going to be like a sleeper to end this year because it seems like teams are really starting to shut down Jefferson and it's leaving Addison wide open. So and Darnold's starting to look his way a lot. I'm interested to see how Addison does for the rest of the year. He could be a pretty big sleeper for a lot of people.
Yeah. True. If you can pull out a couple more games like that, that's a season winning type of receiver.
Definitely. Let's get into defense start of the week. So last week I gave you Washington, and that one did not hit. Sorry about that, everyone. Uh, I didn't think the Cowboys were going to do that well. I think Washington still went positive, but it wasn't by very much. So never. Who do you got for your defense this week?
Yeah, and I chose the Steelers defense, and although we did pretty good, we got 7 points, interception, and two fumble recoveries, but we allowed 24 points. But this week, I like the Thanksgiving game, and I look at the Thanksgiving games, and I just got to go with the Lions. The Lions are looking good, even though the Packers looked really good in against the no, not the Packers. Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams looked good against the Vikings, but I mean against the Lions, they know they're gonna eat Caleb Williams alive for that Thanksgiving feast. So I like the Lions. It They don't really play with their food. I feel like the Chiefs play with their food a lot, and the Lions they just they just demolish the team. Like they win the games that they're supposed to win, and they win by a big margin. They are supposed to beat the Bears, and they will. So give me the Lions.
And I've got another team on the Thanksgiving slate. This is the Cowboys. Surprisingly, I told you do not draft this defense this year. A lot of people ended up drafting this team and then dropping them. I really like this matchup against the Giants. You look at what they just did against the Commanders. They had 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, and scored 2 touchdowns on defense. I feel like as a unit, you're feeling pretty good against a Washington Commanders team that everyone was hyping around their offense. Going into a team who I 100% believe is tanking the New York Giants. If you have a team going up against the Giants for the rest of the season, that might be the defense you want to stream all year long because that team to me is 100% tanking 30-0 after a season where you were kind of competing with some teams. I think that's screaming in your face. This is a team that is purposely tanking. And like I said last week, the NFL should do something about that. But the Cowboys, I think that is the defense to stream this week. I think they're going to pop off. They're saying DeVito might not play. And if he doesn't play, then you got Drew Lock. I like Drew Lock a little bit more, but I still think the Cowboys will get a couple turnovers on Drew Lock. So
It's gonna be very. I wish Daniel Jones went to the Cowboys. Oh, that would be shut. That would honestly be the only reason this game is even remotely
I'm
exciting.
surprised. I'm surprised he doesn't like. I'm surprised that hasn't already happened.
Yeah. Would be interesting. I mean, Cowboys aren't in contention for anything either, so.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What if he goes to the Niners and they win the Super Bowl and then he gets a ring? That would be so fun.
That'd be crazy.
That would be hilarious.
That would be nuts. So for our last topic, and you will know in about now, this is the fantasy MVP. You can tell by the party lights that I put on. Or not fantasy MVP, I'm sorry. This is the fantasy highlight. This is where we highlight one player, and maybe that means a low light is around the corner. You joined us for that a couple of weeks ago. That was when all the lights were off, and we were talking about the Bears offense. Maybe another one is coming around the corner. So anyone that's performed badly, they're in danger of being talked about in a very dark matter here soon. But for today, we're going to talk positively about one Saquon Barkley. Probably, in my opinion, the best pick in the draft. This guy is the league winner. There is no one else that is comparable to him, I think. He has had so many really, really good games. He's almost at 1,400 rushing yards for the season already, which is pretty good. He's on pace for cracking 2,000. That would be amazing to see in today's football state. That really hasn't happened in a while, and it was a thing where people were saying that the running back position was about to be eliminated. So if you have Saquon Barkley coming in and giving you 2,000 yards, that puts a little respect on the running back name. I'm really rooting for that. He has 10 touchdowns. He's averaging 6.2 yards per play, per carry. And there's even talk about him being the league MVP now. That is starting to intensify. I'm rooting for that. I would hope for once. I mean, really, Joe Burrow has been a good quarterback, but his team's not winning. I would say this year, let's do it. Let's give the MVP award to a running back. Let's give it to Saquon Barkley, just to shout out some of his best performances. This past week was his best performance of the season against the Rams, 46.2 points. Week 11, 33.8 points against Washington. Jacksonville, 32.9 points. The first game of the season against the Packers, 33.2 points. And against New Orleans, who was a pretty good run defense, 33.6 points. So he's had just a monster year. Really, he's only had 2 games under 10 points.
Jeez.
So it hasn't, and even those games, it was 8 points and 7 points. So it's not like he ever really went out there and gave you 0 points. Hasn't really had a dud yet. I guess that 7.4 points against Cleveland, you could mark that as a dud, but it doesn't matter. He's scoring every single week, it seems like. Might score twice. Noah, what are your thoughts on this fantasy highlight?
Yeah, I just love how his favorite or his most, best game that he's had was against me. But poor Logan lost to Saquon this week, so that kind of sucked. But he also on another league I have Saquon. But I mean I said this in mid-year. He's gonna win Offensive Player of the Year, and you guys were like Derrick Henry. But Saquon is just unbelievable. He is just such a crazy athlete. Derrick Henry is great too, but he's just unbelievable. And one thing, I think he's the most. I think I heard one of the announcers say this Sunday, but he's the most. He's leading the league in stopping at the one. And obviously we know if you stop at the one as the Eagle, you're not getting the touchdown. But like, imagine if he wasn't, if he didn't stop, he stopped at the 2 or 3, and he had half the touchdowns that Jalen Hurts has. Like, his stats would be even crazier. with all the touchdowns, or his fantasy numbers would be even crazier. One thing I really like though, especially with the running backs, is the friendly competition between him and Derrick Henry. Because now they're starting to ask Derrick Henry about Saquon, because I guess he did like a tweet mid-game. He's like, yeah, that guy got to chill. You know what I mean? Like just kind of playing around with it and stuff like that. You don't really see that anymore. You don't really see the friendly competitions and stuff like that. So I really hope that this is going to change the running back market. But I mean, shout out Saquon, and shout out the Giants for trading him away or releasing him, because this never would have happened if it wasn't for them.
Definitely. Yeah, they got to feel terrible watching them do that to their rival.
Especially on Hard Knocks. Like, it's one thing if we had, like, what were they thinking? We literally heard exactly what they were thinking. And it was just,
The owner said, I'm going to be sick if he signs with the Eagles.
I'm not going to be able to sleep at night.
He signs with the Eagles and he looks way better than he ever did with the Giants.
God, man. Imagine first year he wins Offensive Player of the Year. The first year where he's not. Oh my God, man.
That's what I'm saying. Give him MVP, man.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, it's like, who should win MVP? Josh Allen. I think that would be, if he's probably the best quarterback that has been playing really well all season.
Maybe Lamar.
Maybe, but he hasn't. I don't know. I guess.
I feel like the guy that's had the most effect on their team, that should be who wins the MVP. I think that's Saquon.
Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, exactly.
They're probably going to give it to a quarterback, unfortunately. I really hope they change that. I hope they finally start to recognize some other players in this league, but
they're not going to. Remember when Cooper Kupp a couple years ago got the Triple Crown? Like, how are you going to get the Triple Crown and not win MVP?
Right? And won the Super Bowl.
And won the Super Bowl. And won Super Bowl MVP. Or it didn't, he did. Yeah, I think he did. Didn't he?
I think he did.
Yeah. But he didn't get the regular season MVP. It's unfortunate. But even like Josh Allen, like, yeah, he's a great player. He's been having a really good season, but not an MVP season. Like, he hasn't been doing that well. Even Lamar, I don't think that he's been doing that well. We're just like, oh my God, he's doing amazing. Like, we're talking more about Saquon than any of the other quarterbacks. Why are we not adding them to the MVP list?
Yeah, I mean, Saquon, you could say he changed the world when he did that backwards hurdle.
Yeah.
This year, I mean, that's never been done before. So
no.
why don't you give him the MVP off of that play alone?
Seriously, I mean, they're friggin' playing it every second, every other highlight. So you might as well get some.
I guess they put that animation on Madden.
Yeah, they did. It was so funny. I saw this streamer that was like trying to do it, and you have to do it at like the right angle. It's insane.
They won't change anything about the game, but they'll put that in there. So dumb.
Oh man, that is funny.
But that is it from us. Like I said, maybe a low light is on the way. Hopefully Darian's back tomorrow. Before we get out of here, I want to congratulate Jack Hooker, in our fantasy group. He had his baby today. They had a baby girl, him and Raina. Congratulations, you guys. We are so happy from you from this show. We know you're going to love that baby so much, and we cannot wait to meet that baby. Anything from you, Nim?
Nope, you took the words out of my mouth. Congrats, Hook. I'm so happy for both you and Raina. And I know you guys are going to be great parents.
That is it from us. Please join us tomorrow. We will be back on YouTube and then on TikTok after that. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.